He didn't shout back, that he didn't defend himself, he didn't even try to calm the storm, because Jannik Sinner already knew the backlash was coming long before the headlines exploded, and he still chose to stand by a decision that has now shaken the entire Italian tennis community. This is NETRUSHREPORT. Let's get into it. Jannik Sinner is living through one of the most dramatic off-court weeks of his career. And it's not because of a loss. It's because of a choice to protect his body, a choice to preserve his future, a choice that some fans are calling selfish, while others are calling one thing: understandable. And one of the biggest voices defending Sinner right now, a former world number 3, a Grand Slam champion, a man who knows exactly what an overloaded tennis schedule can do to your career, Marin Cilic. But before we get to Cilic's message, let's rewind the situation. Sinner officially chose to skip the 2025 Davis Cup Finals, hosted in Bologna from November 18th to 25, a massive home event, a national expectation, a tournament where Italy hoped to ride Sinner's momentum after he defeated Carlos Alcaraz and captured the ATP Finals title. On paper, it looked like the perfect scenario for Sinner to lead Italy to glory. Instead, Sinner told the world something the Italian media did not want to hear. He needed rest. Real rest. Not 1 week. Not a quick reset, but a full recovery period to prepare for the 2026 Australian Open, where he wants to arrive in the best physical shape possible. To fans, this came out of nowhere. To Sinner? It was necessary. To the media? It was unforgivable. Within hours of the announcement, Italian headlines exploded with criticism. Some pundits called it ungrateful. Others labeled it abandonment. And then came one of the loudest voices of them all. Italian tennis legend Nicola Pietrangeli didn't hold back. Not even a little. He said Sinner's decision was a real slap in the face for Italian sport. He argued that playing for your country should come before everything. Before tournaments, before rest, before personal goals. This wasn't just criticism. This was a direct attack on Sinner's priorities. And it didn't stop there. Italian Consumer Association Codicons took things even further. They suggested stripping Sinner of his national honors, a dramatic and extreme measure that shocked fans, analysts, and even fellow players. Suddenly, Sinner wasn't just being criticized, he was being punished, at least in the court of public opinion. But while the noise grew louder, another group quietly stepped forward in support. And these voices carried real weight. Former world number 3 Marin Cilic, a man who has lived through the brutal demands of the ATP schedule, decided it was time to speak up. Via flash score, Cilic said, Sinner's decision is understandable. The 2025 season was one of the longest, hardest, and most successful years of Sinner's life. A year where he won 2 Grand Slam titles, multiple ATP trophies, and the ATP Finals. A year where he was constantly traveling, constantly competing, constantly carrying the pressure of being world number 2 and the new face of Italian tennis. Cilic knows what burnout feels like, that he knows what physical decline looks like. And he knows that one wrong decision in November can echo for months, or even years. His point was simple. If Sinner doesn't listen to his body now, he could pay for it later. Yes, Italy won't be the Davis Cup favorite without him. Yes, Sinner's absence changes everything. But Cilic believes the long-term perspective matters more than one tournament. Even a national one. And Cilic wasn't the only one. Patrick Mouratoglou, former coach of Serena Williams, publicly supported Sinner as well. Mouratoglou has always emphasized the importance of protecting players from burnout. He believes modern tennis is more physically explosive than ever, and rest isn't optional anymore. It's necessary. Jack Draper, another rising star on the ATP Tour, echoed the same feeling, that he knows the grind. He knows how easily injuries can creep in. And he understands why Sinner is choosing longevity over patriotism. These are not random supporters. These are people who've lived the lifestyle, felt the pressure, and understand the cost of pushing your body past its limit. And that's why their support matters. Here's the truth. 2025 was not a normal season for Sinner. He played deep into almost every major tournament. He was in the global spotlight for months. He fought through high-pressure battles, including the emotional ATP Finals championship match against Carlos Alcaraz, a match that symbolized his evolution from contender to closer. His schedule was packed, his body was exhausted, and the Davis Cup Finals, while meaningful, could have added another week of physical strain just before the off-season. leaving him no time to reset before 2026. Sinner is not just thinking about one event, he's thinking about an entire decade of his career, and that's something the public rarely sees. Cilic pointed out something the critics don't want to admit. The tennis calendar is too long, too demanding, too unforgiving. Players are asked to compete for nearly 11 months a year across multiple continents, different climates, different surfaces, while trying to stay injury-free and mentally sharp. Rest is not laziness. Rest is survival. And Sinner, after a career-defining season, is choosing survival. Italy will go into the Davis Cup finals without their superstar. Some fans will stay angry. Some will eventually understand. But one thing is guaranteed. Sinner will return in 2026 stronger, smarter, and more focused because he gave himself the recovery window he needed. And players like Cilic, Draper, and Muratoglu know this was the only decision that makes sense if Sinner wants to fight. For more Grand Slams, more ATP titles, and potentially the world #1 ranking, he isn't abandoning Italy, he's protecting the version of himself that made Italy proud in the first place. And sometimes, that takes courage. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Sinner controversy, make sure to stay locked in, because the 2026 season is already shaping up to be one of the most dramatic we've seen. This is NETRUSHREPORT, and I'll see you in the next one.